So, after that dramatic music, tell us a little bit about your company and what you're doing. And Betty, I'll begin with you.
Yeah, we are nyris, we are a visual search engine, and we identify objects and pictures or videos. And to be more precise, we identify our customers' products in these pictures or videos. And we can identify any kind of object, so it can be furniture, can be machinery parts, can be spare parts. And to use AI in it, we need AI to identify exactly, to tell us what's going on in the picture, what we can find.
And you're also using AI, so tell us about that.
That's true. At Lana Labs, we help companies to become more intelligent, efficient, and faster by analyzing their processes with the help of machine learning, so AI. And what we're doing is we bring full transparency into business and manufacturing processes by automatically visualizing the data, finding critical behavior in a process that we don't want. And once we find those, we go with a machine learning algorithm to the root cause of that issue. So this really helps our customers like Telefonica improving their customer service, or manufacturers like Heidelberger Druckmaschinen, get better with our software every day.
Okay, so those are your customers then. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit more about like who is actually using this, and which segments are benefiting the most.
Yeah, so like Telefonica, it's a really nice case. Customer service, everyone knows it. When you call someone, like in a call center, there are always things that can be improved. And we really help them to identify the spots where a change would make the most, will reap the most benefit. We can show them on which days, in which segments, like certain issues, in which call centers it actually happens, and then they can really improve their processes based on facts. In manufacturing segment, this is really interesting because when you manufacture a car, there are so many data points, and usually it's not possible to analyze them manually. It's simply not possible to find any critical insights in these complex processes. So here we really help to improve quality, improve speed, throughput times, and the manufacturing people like that a lot. Saving costs and time is always good.
And how are companies using yours?
Yeah, we are about 50-50 at the moment. 50% of our customers are based in retail, so they're integrating visual search in their web shops or in an app to find products. So their customers can look for similar or the same products, and instead of typing in or just trying to describe what they're looking for, they can take a picture and we find an exact match. And in retail, we are also being used in back-end processes where companies have to manage visual data. The other half we are spending actually in industry and automotive. And in industry cases, it's at the moment high in demand spare parts recognition. So what happens there, field service technicians are out and about, have to identify or repair spare parts. And it's quite tricky. I'm just back from Bauma on Monday and Tuesday, where we talked to loads of machinery companies. The technicians find it difficult to find out the correct serial number of a spare part, or they have to call an office, or they send a picture to to a customer service team circling in the spare part, and then they have to try and find out what it is and how to order it. Now with our solution, they can take a picture, and the company can attach whatever process after it. So they can attach a purchasing process, or they can attach an information process to show a user manual, or even a drawing for technicians to know where do I have to put that part.
So the segments that are benefiting the most are, would you say?
I think I personally like the industry side.
Yeah.
Because I used to manage like a service department in the laser industry, and I know the difficulties and frustrations. Retail is very interesting as well, obviously from a personal point of view. If I want to buy something and I can't describe it, I just take a picture of a similar thing. Like a lamp I want to buy, I take a picture, and if it gives me the same lamp or similar lamp, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karina, maybe you can drill down a little bit deeper for us and explain why machine learning specifically is really great for process optimization.
Yeah.
A lot of heavy words in that sentence, so just break it down for us.
So I don't know if you know how process analysis is being done today, but with the amounts of data that we have to deal with in processes, it's simply not possible to analyze them manually. So here, let's picture this. If I want to analyze a process, usually I would hire consultants. They would take interviews. They will go there, manually stop the time, like seriously, like this. Then crunch it all in Excel spreadsheets and then deliver some results on where you should start improving your process. Mm-hmm. That could be a bit subjective sometimes, right? You can only, to some extent, use your gut feeling to determine where should you really start improving your process. And with process mining, what we're doing is we take all the data that is happening when a process is executed. We visualize that data and then pinpoint where does it take too long? Where do I have rework loops? Where do I have a bottleneck? And this is great. So now I know what is going wrong in my process, but I want to know why. That's the actual thing that helps me in doing something, right? So here is where machine learning is really powerful in analyzing all this data, which is so complex, and then really pinpointing what are the rules, which attributes are affected when a certain behavior occurs. And this is not only for bad behavior. Sometimes you have a high-performing process and you want to know what are the success factors of that process so you can use it in different processes as well. So this is where machine learning becomes really powerful, and what is the most interesting part is that we are just at the beginning of what is possible, and that is so cool. I mean,
have you had a case yet that's been a bit more complicated than you anticipated in the beginning, or where the machine learning kind of got it wrong, or you had to correct for some sort of bias that it was?
I mean, when you develop a technology, of course, there's always, like nothing goes right the first time. So it's an ongoing development. I mean, continuous improvement is our business, and we also live that. Of course, also our algorithms are improved all the time. But what is especially interesting here, if we would go, if we would have the possibility to look at much more data, which is in Germany a bit difficult because there are still a lot of companies hesitant to go to the cloud, right? But if we would have all this process data of so many companies in the same segment, we could do benchmarking, and then there is where AI and machine learning would actually really reap the greatest benefits. But we will get there. It's just not there now, but I'm very certain that there will even be greater results with it.
That sounds fascinating. I want to talk about the money, because you can't do this without money, right? So you guys are both VC financed, I understand. Perhaps you can talk about how it was to get financing, and Betty, we'll begin with you.
Yeah, it's time consuming. I think that's like the summary of it. What we found that especially German VCs, when we talked to most of them, they weren't really experienced in AI. So they didn't have any AI companies in their portfolio or any kind of expertise on board. And I think that probably needs to change, the funding of VCs themselves has probably to change, where they collect a lot more patient money to then able to invest in a lot more risky projects and companies, because AI is still a risky investment,
And what you're experiencing, it's actually backed up by the data. I just want to throw this in there, because this is something that the people who have prepared this conference have given me. Because according to McKinsey, in 2018, European AI companies raised only 11% of the world's VC capital, whereas 48% went to China, 38% to the United States. So, I mean, your experience is really backed up by the data in terms of where the AI funding is going. Not a lot of it to Europe. It's actually going mostly to the US and China. And I'd just like to invite you to weigh in here. What was your experience?
Well, we had a good experience in the beginning because my two co-founders come from the Hasso-Plattner Institute in Potsdam. They have the HPI seed fund, and they funded us a bit, and also we got a state scholarship. So that was great. I mean, not everyone has the chance, so it can be a lot more difficult, but we were really lucky in the very beginning. So we could come to a stage where we had a good MVP. And then you have an MVP, a great technology, of course, but you don't have a lot of customers. And then you need to convince a VC, no one knows what process mining is about, you know, never heard of, what do I care? So, and then it's really difficult if you don't have proof. You need people that really believe in you and your technology. And I think that we were really lucky to find investors that believed in us early on. But of course, that's not always the case. But in deep technology development, you need a lot of capital because first you need to develop a strong technology, and no one will buy your product before, you know, a certain point of time. And
are there any changes that you might like to see to sort of, you know, spur change in this area on the political or the policy level? Betty?
Yeah, like I said before, it would be great to have VCs investing in a lot more of risky projects, and German VCs are known for investing in proven kind of models, and that's exactly what you just described. And yeah, it's true. You have to develop the tech first, and yes, you're looking into it, establishing customers at the same time. But if you're a startup, you have to divide your resources as well very carefully. So quite a lot of time, I think it's like VC funding, then you're doing your sales, and alongside you've got the developers trying to develop and continue developing the product.
But I mean, just beyond the VC firms, I mean, we had a number of federal ministers here at Bitkom also. I mean, what would be your message to them?
Well, as I said, we got a public scholarship, and I think there should be much more programs like that. So people that have great ideas or about developing technology actually get the chance to work on it for a while without needing to care about how they make their living. So I think more programs to finance early stage technology development, that's one thing. Well, and maybe in a slightly different direction, I would really have a huge wish to politicians, but that's more related to processes. So I think administrative things like public administration is something where we should really talk about digitisation, automation, and optimization. So, and then I think also a lot of things that in the startup a community might be a bit problematic regarding how do I set up a business, all the bureaucratic things that are connected would be much easier if we digitize. But in general, you know, I think our society here in Germany, we're so, you know, everyone makes a great living here, you know. There's not so much need to change, not so much pressure. I mean, we hear it, okay, there's China and they're doing so much. But I think our situation here is still way too good to actually get some drive into changing something. And this is maybe a bit the spirit that is missing here. And I don't know if politics can solve that, but...
And I mean, ultimately, you're both based here in Berlin, we have to mention, of course. How would you rate the tech startup ecosystem here in Berlin, just generally speaking? And Karina, I'll begin with you.
Well, I think it's great. There are a lot of interesting companies. You have a great exchange. So if you have a problem, you can be sure 100 other people had it before you. So that's always good to have people to exchange with.
Betty?
Yeah, I think Berlin is a great hub for startups. A lot of people meeting again in other companies while moving along. We talked about it before. But I think in Berlin it's a lot of noise as well, but actual customers, they're not set in Berlin. They're at the other end of Germany. So that's kind of a challenge for us. That's why we have 2 offices as well, one in Berlin and one in Düsseldorf, just to be closer to our customers.
What do you think Germany can learn from, for example, you know, other tech startup hubs, especially in this space of AI? You know, if we're looking, for example, at the US or China, Karina?
Yeah, So I think it's really the spirit thing that I was talking about, and I think this is something not politics can change, but it has to be the companies that need to be more willing to try out new things. And I think in Germany we're a bit slow in technology adoption, which leads to young startups maybe not having too many customers at an early stage because, oh, I don't want to invest in a company that might not exist anymore tomorrow. Like a very common concern. A technology that is in the cloud, no, that's not possible for us. So there are so many restrictions and concerns, especially in Germany. You know, it's a part of our culture, I think, and that is something we need to change cultural-wise to get a bit more drive and just do it attitude, I think.
Betty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything. And in addition, I think it's also very important for AI startups to have data available. And probably...
We've heard a lot about that today.
Yeah, and that's probably the most important thing because you want to develop your tech and you want to stay in competition with the main players, Israel, China, and US. And if you see how their data is structured and centrally owned, like in China, it's 83% centrally owned and managed data for relevant AI data, while in Europe and US it's about 39 to 40%. Yeah. So I think in Europe, not just Germany, but in Europe, if we kind of unite a bit more on these data structures and making the data available to scientists for research, but also to startups, I think that would be a great step forward. Yeah.
It's a polarizing issue, depending on who you're talking with, actually. But definitely, it's a message that we are hearing a lot here at this conference. Just briefly, we don't have so much time left. Tell us, what your hopes are really in your space, over the coming years. Karina, we'll begin with you.
So I'm really excited about where our technology will be going. When we say today we help our customers to automatically analyze and optimize their processes, this is step one. In the future, we will provide customers with self-optimizing processes. So this is still a bit ahead, but this is such a great vision of being able to automatically improve a process and thereby save cost, time, and also resources. We can be much more sustainable with this, which is a great thing, I think. So, yeah, I'm full of hopes for great technology developments in the process mining space.
Betty?
Yeah. I think the best thing or the interesting thing, it's really interesting working in this environment anyway, because everything is happening so fast. There's so many new developments, and there's so many moonshots happening. And what would be great as well to see all these great companies in Germany, the corporates, that they're moving the same speed, and allowing startups, scale-ups for their solutions to integrate a lot faster. Because at the moment, I don't know if you have the same experience, but integrations, there are loads of tests going on and trying out a lot of solutions, which is fair enough, but it would be great if the adaptation will move alongside.
Okay, so lots to do still is really ultimately the thesis of this panel. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing those perspectives with us. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.